Greetings from Southern Yankee Homestead. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Well, today, as promised in the previous video, I can't guarantee it's the last video because we're not sending them out in sequence. I just went to pull the Suzuki in here, drain out the fuel, and try to get that thing running. And it was pushing like a like it was, the brakes were on. So I guess I need to do a brake job on that too. It happens. That's an 04? Yeah, it's an 04. So at the time of filming this, it's 18 years old, and it's had nothing but the best of use. We're back on the Suzuki Ozark 250. It is a 2004 model. Don't ask me how many miles are on it or hours. There is no speedometer, there's no hour meter. It's had a few on it. Yeah. But today we have two problems we're addressing. The first is its start and then stall out. I think we've already got that established that it's probably bad fuel. We're going to start there, but we're not going to start there. The bigger problem is right now brakes are off, but she should not be moving that difficult, as evident by me trying to haul this thing in manually. Ugh. But we got it in the garage now, so the first thing we did was we took the fuel out of it. I just basically used a siphoned it into a gas can that I know is bad gas. How I know it's bad gas, get back in here in the light where you can see me. This gas can is my bad gas can. The reason it's my bad gas can is because I absolutely hate this gas can. I bought it a couple years ago when we had a RV, or we didn't have an RV, and I was running a generator and needed more fuel, so I got a gas can that was available. It's too long. The fill neck doesn't work worth it. It's too long, so when you're trying to fill, it's awkward. The fuel neck has no bend to it, so if you're trying to fill, it just sprays everywhere. The little spring mechanism that's in here doesn't work worth it, and it's rather cumbersome. So I hate this gas can. Therefore, I know that in this gas can, if there's anything, it's bad gas because it's a bad gas can, and that's how I track it. Now, just because that gas is bad doesn't mean I'm not going to use it, because some people pour it in a bonfire and try to light their hair on fire. What I do is when I go to fill up something, I'll use some high test now, 94, 92 octane, and then I will pour a little bit of that in there. It'll bring the octane down a little, but it'll allow me to burn it up at least and not waste it, because, well, gas is expensive. Crap gas is even more expensive to get rid of. But let me quit rambling. So we're going to start on this by jacking up the rear end, because, well, let's do this as unsafe as possible. So some of you Canadians are going to recognize this, and northern people, but you southern people, you ain't going to have a clue what this is. This is a hockey puck. I'm going to use this as a spacer. This is nice heavy-duty rubber, which, by the way, hurts a lot when you get hit with one. Yeah, perfect example. Yeah, shouldn't move that difficult. We fix you. There we go. Never seen a tire taken off before. Don't follow me. All right. This is where the fun begins. Yep. This is a drive flange. So, what we need to get to is in here. The way we need to get to it is taking this off. I think we're going to start with some brake cleaner. Let's see what we can find here. Probably should have started with a power washer, but think we're going to try disengaging this a little bit before we start. Yeah, she's still seized up pretty tight. Ow! Good a set of diagonals is very handy when doing this. Diagonal cutters. Never hurts. Have a good set of pliers as well. Get some leverage on it. Once you get them started. So in theory, that nut should not be on there that tight. But that nut has not been taken off this ATV since it was new. So regardless of how tight that nut was, it's pretty well seized on there at this point. Love it when a plan comes together. So with that off, oh, it's going to be nice. Haha. There's your drive flange. Set that. We're going to use the baby impact for this one. See if this will even work. Oh, I like it. A good little tip. These are the little containers you can buy at Harbor Freight for storing nuts and bolts. I have an entire set of these that I don't use for anything but automotive stuff. So when I'm taking something apart, I just go ahead and drop my nuts and bolts in here. And depending on how complicated, I'll separate it so that, like if I was taking apart an engine, I'll have intake screws in one, I'll have exhaust bolts in another, any other miscellaneous valve cover screws, stuff like that, and then I'll label them separate if it's going to be longer using Ziploc bags or sandwich bags, whatever you prefer. Go ahead and zip these off. Oh, there's one hiding down there. Alright, let's see if this comes off. Alright, we're going to have to get a little bit more hostile with it. See something that looks like a screwdriver hole. There we go. Yep, I was right. It's a dust cover. Woo! Look at that. That is beautiful. Let me go take that outside. There is no way in hell that's coming off without a fight. I'm sure of it. That's just for shits and giggles. Yeah. That's just out of GP. All right. Wow, we've still got pads on this. That's impressive. So, what I figured out was this is more like a semi-truck than a modern car. So, if I tap this forward and you watch here, as this moves forward when you compress the brake, this little piece here spins and it's not centered, it's not round. So as it spins, it expands, engaging your brake. So what I did was I backed this out which allowed the brakes to compress and allowed me to get the drum off. A little brake clean left here. So we're going to give that a minute to dry. We should be able to just pop one of these springs off and take this whole brake assembly off and take a look at the arm. See how bad it is. We give it a little time to dry. I kind of want to get this up and running if possible. So just pop that off. We'll do this the easy way. There we go. Alright, with that out of the way, we can see we need to get in here with a brush. So need to, oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, I think the brake was seized up. I think we need to pop that out first. Oh, crusties. It's just a return spring. Holy cow, that might not come off. See anything holding it back? Alright, let's try loosening this up some more. There we go. There. I'll just set this out of the way somehow. Yeah, we'll just leave it in the way. Pull those. Spline key down. Spacer washer. Return spring. And then in theory, we should be able to pop that out eventually. We're going to start small and then work our way up. If this doesn't work, we'll go bigger. Because I don't want to mess those splines up if at all possible. So we're going to... There we go. We got it started. Let's see if I bottomed out already. Yeah, that didn't take much. Said, you know, let's get stupid with it. I wasn't kidding. So we're going to do that. We're going to do this. It'll give us the space we need. This here. What's the worst that could happen? There we go. She got moving, she's not bad. Ooh, yeah. I think whatever I had for grease in there is pretty well toast. I think we need to hit this with a wire wheel. And it would have been nice if they'd put a Zerk fitting in that at one time. Maybe they did. What's that on the back? This might have had a grease fitting on it. Alright, so a $50 parts store run later, I have a bunch of pieces. Ooh, extreme close-up. So, I just got back from a parts store run where I found some pieces to hopefully put this back together. The first is an engine brush kit. I think part of the problem is the bore has corrosion as well as the shaft. So that's for the bore, and then for the shaft I went ahead and picked up some, well, I say El Cheapos, but these are still $4 each, brushes. Also picked up some brake cleaner, some more PB Blaster because we're cleaning a bore. I want to have some lubricant in there, and some white lithium grease. I'll show you why as we get into this. We're going to start with cleaning the bore. And the reason I got this kit is because it'll go into my impact. So, let's do, doesn't look that bad in there. We're going to grab this. And I think we're going to do, did I say brass? We're going to try brass. Let's go with the second one down. Let's see how this fits. Oh, that should be fine. We're going to put it on there. We got our Does it go all the way through? It is, okay. Sweet. So simple a caveman can do it. Now for the hard part. Knife. So we're going to stick with the brass here. Since I got this handy dandy trash bag. Now you want to be careful because right in here there is a O-ring. I don't know if I can get that off or how brittle it will be. Let's find out. And we're going to put that in our parts bin. Let's go ahead and clean that bore all over everything. Now, let's hit this with some PB Blaster. And just a little Ziggy brush. Alright, there's a key on there. That's good to know. I'm going to move to the wire metal brush. I'm just trying to clean it up, not necessarily change the diameter. Move to the wire brush because it really wasn't cleaning this up the way I had hoped. Just gonna sit this out to dry for a little bit. Now, as far as cost goes, I have about $54 spent on the tools and the PB Blaster and everything else that I've spent on this ATV this time to fix this. I say that because people talk about how much we actually do and where do we find the time. Well, this is part of where we find the time. If I can fix it, I fix it. With that being said, for a cost analysis, $54 is what we had spent. If I want to go as far as say we did 10 miles, which is a third of a tank of diesel, so I probably put $1.50 in there, making it $55. Now, if we were to take this little Suzuki to a shop, we're looking at 30 miles one way, so that'd be 60 miles round trip, or 120 miles to take it out there and back. On top of that, you then got to, and that's our closest Suzuki dealership that would be able to work on it. On top of that, you would also probably have it there 2 to 4 weeks before someone gets into it and does what I just did, and then they're going to be charging anywhere between $100 and $150 an hour. So if they know what's wrong with it and it only takes them an hour, there's $150 plus 120 miles at $5 a gallon for diesel. So we're looking at, we'll say 25 miles per gallon, depending on if I'm driving the Jeep or the truck. There's $25, 2 hours, so we'd be looking at about $350 to do what I just did for $54. On top of the fact that if we're taking the Suzuki out there to get fixed, you're looking at probably about 3 hours depending on traffic, because by the time you get it loaded, get it over there, get it unloaded, get the paperwork filled out, get home, then get back over there, get it reloaded, and drive back here, you're looking at about the same amount of time as it cost me to fix it. Hope that made sense. This is how we do what we do. This is part of owning a homestead. At some point, something's going to break. If you don't know how to fix it or you can't fix it, it's going to cost you a lot of money to call someone in that can. So this is not only cost savings, but time savings in some aspects. Sometimes some of the more complicated stuff, yeah, someone else could do it faster. Don't think they could do it cheaper though. Anyhow, I think my pool is done over there. So now we got our washer. Just take a little bit of that lithium grease right off the lip of the can. Slide that on there. Then we have this retainer. This retainer has a lip on it as well. So that's why she was coming off so hard before. Should only be one position that can go in. Slide. Let me see if I can get that to slide up out of the way. There we go. Whoop, almost there we go. I'm actually going to turn this just so that I can get this little tab over the first one. All right. We'll get it started on the second. We'll turn this back. Put the Ziggy brush here. I'm going to run this bolt through. Get this right here. I think I might have to go back further with it, but we're going to at least get this retainer on first. Let's see how that feels real quick. I'm going to revisit that in a second. Because I think what's happening right now is our spring is too weak to properly pull it back to where it needs to be. So what we're going to do, I'm going to grab another little shot of lithium grease here. All we're doing this for is corrosion prevention. This piece doesn't spin, it just sits here stationary. Then manhandle this one over it. There we go. With that set, I can show you when you pull on the brake, you can see the brake pads are now opening up. So what I want to do, I wonder if now that we got the springs on there, maybe there's more. Okay, we're gonna go with that. I'm going to do a basic readjustment here real quick. Let's see what happens when we put this back on. Alright, so with that brake on. Ooh, went right to the floor, didn't it? Alright. So we're way loose right now because, yeah, so what we got to do is we're going to go ahead and adjust this, and what I'm doing is I adjust this. Watch the brake handle right there. So what I'm doing is I'm adjusting it. I'm adjusting the handle and I want to do it until the brake just starts to drag. Now we're going to take this retainer, oops, nope, before I take that retainer out, let's remove that spring. We don't want this loaded. So with that off, I'm going to go ahead and that's why I left this off. Before I start doing that any further, one full turn more. Oops. Let's back that out. That wrong. Alright, so still stiff. Oh, that's much better. And the brake returns to where it's supposed to. Yep. All right. The top one is the hand brake, the bottom is the foot brake. I don't use the foot brake very often. So, does anyone remember how the rest of this went back together? Kidding. So I guess the last thing to do is pour some fuel in it and see if I have any better luck with fresh fuel or if we got to further troubleshoot. I don't remember draining this much fuel out of it. Maybe I was just empty. That's okay. We'll get some fuel in her anyways. Are we going for a ride tonight? Or are we going to bed? Already running better. It is carbureted, so it is cold-blooded. Success! Ran just fine, especially once it warmed up. Got it down back, turned around, drove back. Brakes work really well now. I mean, like, lock the tires up, and she's so much more peppy now that it's not dragging brakes. So for $55, our Ozark's back on the trail again. I guess that just leaves me trying to troubleshoot the Can-Am and find out why that's not running right. Check your gas. It's kind of late, kind of dirty, kind of sore. Pinch myself with the pliers, blood blister. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more stuff like this, let us know in the comments. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.